How is everybody doing today?
Good.
So bunch of things this morning. One is, oh shoot. Most of you guys should have it because I know you're on Google Plus, but next Saturday, I want to make sure you guys have the address. We're going to meet at 8 a.m. Okay, the address for next Saturday is 1801 Park Court East.
Park Court 1, 2, right?
It's yeah, I think so. Park Court East, suite number 210, Santa Ana, 92701. You guys might want to carpool or what have you. It's about an hour, so just into Santa Ana. So hopefully there won't be a tremendous amount of traffic. We'll chit chat a little bit about that today, but I'm excited. There's a lot of kind of cool stuff. So hopefully we can get a handful to a bunch of people. So it's funny. I was like, yeah, we're just going to bring a couple of our leaders. So 8. 8 o'clock. I figure if I say 8, by like 9:30, you know, some of the folks will show up and stuff like that. So, well, let's kind of go through the shirts. So our first shirts are done. They're just not all done. So we're gonna give them out Wednesday night. But I am excited about. We're gonna chit chat a lot about this today. I am incredibly frustrated. And I have not been incredibly frustrated in a really long time. I enjoy being frustrated on some parts, right? I know it's my choice, and so if I'm choosing to be frustrated, then it must be something that I'm enjoying. So it kind of goes through that process. So there's a bunch of stuff we're going to go over today. And I'm frustrated because I want to grow. I'm frustrated because we're in a place where we can do some really cool things, and it's just not happening fast enough, which is a really fun kind of sense and feeling because I have not done stuff for a really long time. So we'll get into that a bit today. So we've got that. On November 1st is the Halloween party. It's going to go from 8 p.m. till we're done. And so we've got a sign up list, and we're going to kind of go through it a little bit today. With that, again, hopefully we will have a bunch of people, and the house has started. The decorating process has begun. Dun, dun, dun. I got a bunch of stuff out yesterday, and then the kids got up this morning, and I built a bunch of the stuff, and they came down. They're like, "What the hell?" So that is very, very, very good. So we'll talk a lot about that. AAA'z night this Wednesday. So again, it's every Wednesday. Some of us, it's taking us a little while to re-engage in that, and that's cool. We've got the convention July 15th through the 18th. So make sure that we've got that on our calendars. So kind of some fun little things. Yesterday, I had a hour and 10-minute conversation with a guy named Bobby Peterman. Bobby Peterman is the president of Primerica Distribution. So he oversees anything that deals with the field, in essence. It's a relatively new position for him. And we're working on some things and got into a conversation yesterday, and I hung up, fired up like you cannot believe. Because it was the first conversation that I've had. We're working on the support company and getting approvals and all this other stuff. And but I ran the language. So I ran the access gap conversation. We talked about the gap. We talked about the strategic partnership. We talked about developing allies, advocates. And so like it was an hour and 10, 15 minutes of me going, like me zerzing this guy. And I mean, Bobby and I have known each other. We've partaked a couple times with some libations. But you know, and it was really interesting because he asked about you guys, he asked about what's going on, he asked about how we're raising leaders, what's going on with our RVPs, what's going on with our growth, what's going on with our numbers, and had some relatively poignant conversations, which was everything. I hung up the phone fired up and more frustrated because the language is done and it works and it's sound. And so now we have to figure out the level of time it's going to take for us to pick it up, put it on, wear it, and start growing with it. And so it was one of those things that I haven't talked to anyone from the home office, not in this process, right? Well, that's not true. I did about 18 months ago, and it did not go well because it wasn't clean. It wasn't done. It was like, yeah, don't talk to anyone else about this because I don't have a clue what you're talking about, which is not really the feedback you're looking for. But it's a really, 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 really good thing. So, and we're moving nicely in the direction of getting the support company approved and all sorts of stuff. He and I are probably going to do a once every 2 week conference call, kind of what's going on, break down the language, and kind of I'm asking him for help now. Like, okay, where are the holes, right? I'm just going to enlist him to, you know, find out that everything we're talking about makes more sense than anything else. So by the time we're done, so we're moving very, very close, very, very rapidly into the place that we want. And I talk about that because of the convention, because I talked to him about where we'll be and what we're going to have and the introduction we're going to have. And so we wanted to get to a place where the language was done. Then we wanted to be able to introduce the fact that they're going to start paying attention. They're now starting to pay attention. And so this is what, you know, it was funny. It was last night. I don't know if you guys are baseball fans, but last night, bottom of the ninth, guy on third, Puig's up, right? 2 outs, already blew a 6 right? But that position doesn't actually come up very often. The backyard of most kids in this country, right? You know, it's the, no time left if you're a basketball, but baseball, I mean, it doesn't, outside of the fact that it's Game 7 of the World Series, but Game 1 for the Dodgers, this is the World Series, right? I mean, they haven't been in the playoffs in like 20 years or something like that. Like, this is the World Series, right? And to see that, and I'm just watching there, and Ty last year, they were in the playoffs, bottom of the 6th, tying score on third, 2 outs, Ty strikes out and just loses it, right? We talk about, Puig did exactly the same thing. Ty looked back at me and he goes, he'll be all right. Like, yes, he will. But you play for those moments, right? And the question is the moment what you play for, or the outcome what you play for? And that's part of where I want us to figure out what we're doing, right? In our old business, and a lot of people play for the outcome. Well, the challenge, in my opinion, and this is simply an opinion with playing for the outcome, is you're not always in charge of it. Do we play for the moment? See, we're in a moment right now. And I think what happens is I'm frustrated in a healthy, positive way because I want to make sure that we understand the moment we're in, not the outcome we've got. Because if we look at our outcome right now, Bobby's conversation was, well, I pulled your numbers, which is always a really fun place, right? And on 2 parts, if I'm playing for the outcome, I pulled your numbers is not a sentence I want to hear. Right. Why? Because our numbers have sucked. Now, they've sucked on purpose. I told him, I said, look, we need to keep the doors open, right? My number one job is what do I got to do to keep these doors open, to create the foundation, to create the language. I said, it took me 4 years to be able to have this conversation. That's the reality. The most powerful asset we built a company that is worth something once it's applied. Right now, it's not worth anything. But I told you numbers was, here's the moment of opportunity. This is the shot. This is they're now paying attention. Does that make sense? We worked hard to get to a place. He doesn't pay attention with borrowed language. They only pay attention to numbers to run my business. Without numbers, you have no influence. When the only place you're playing for is the outcome. Does this make sense? Cindy, we're at a moment right now. Dear, we're at a moment right now. Don, we're at a moment right now. We're at a moment where this is what we played for. Let's play to get to where they can start to pay attention. Why? Because we can change this company. He asked me, when are you going to be back at 400 grand? I go, I don't know. This was not the answer he was looking for. I go, the reason I don't know is that I don't care. I'm not playing for my income. Income is irrelevant anyway. It's revenue. Let's completely change that conversation. But Bobby said that's a April-May conversation. We'll get into the difference between income and revenue. We don't have time for that yet. You're not ready for that kind of. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of joking around, but not really. But I explained our managed account philosophies and what we're doing, and right, all that, like, the cost of income and all of these other pieces that we've done. I go, we're building forward. We're going to have the most part-time operators. We're going to have the most part-timers. We're going to build a sports system. We're going to have, I go 2 years from now, I believe we're going to have 500 part-timers in our base shop. We're going to have 1,000 part-timers in our organization in 2 years. We have the language to support it. We have the support systems in place. We have the products that would take place. We have the market to take place. Now the question is, do we recognize the moment? It's the bottom of the ninth, guy on tying run on third. Do we want to be at bat? Or do we not? Now, this is the greatest part-time opportunity in the history of the world. There's going to be lots and lots of people who don't want to be at bat in that moment. There are lots of professional hitters, professional baseball players that don't want to be at that moment. There's nothing wrong with that. Does that make sense? But you all have been here through this growth process. You've all been here for free for years. I'm assuming you're not here to make $500 a month. Is that a fair assessment? Because if you were here to make $500 a month, like that was your deal for the last 3 years, you're not still here. Because we didn't have a machine that could do that. Is this making any sense? Yes. Y'all seem kind of bored this morning. I'm like trying to have at least some enthusiasm in this conversation. Because I want to focus in the eyes. I'm frustrated. I'm not angry. I'm not disappointed. I'm frustrated. I like frustration when we can do something about it. I'm not frustrated at anyone. Let's make sure that this is perfectly clear too. I'm just like, ugh. Now, do we, the 2, 4, 6, 7 of us, want to be bottom of the ninth, tying run on third, 2 outs, coming to the plate? Yeah, dear. Well, is that what we want? If we're like, no, you guys remember in school, am I the only one that ever did this where they were reading and like you were doing paragraphs by paragraphs, and so you like count, well, there's 4 people that are there, so you count like the 4th paragraph, and then you wouldn't pay attention to what anyone else is doing. You're just reading that paragraph over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden the teacher like switches sides, like no, right? Am I the only one that ever did that? Right? Right? That's look. I didn't want to be the one reading. Bottom of the 9th, bases loaded. You want to be the one reading? No. No, I'll take the 0. I got no problems with that. Now, would I do it if I had you? Yeah, you have to do it. But I'm not looking forward to it. Right? You understand there's a difference. And there's nothing right, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing good or bad with one or the other. Look, I guarantee you there's a bunch of people in the Dodgers not going, man, I wish that was me. I'm fairly certain Yasiel Puig was like, oh. And guess what? He struck out. Dodgers lost. Is he ever going to play the game again? If tonight, bottom of the 9th, guy on 3rd to tie, who do you think would still want to be up? Yasiel Puig?
I'll text it.
Right? Are you going to the game tonight? Oh, cool. Right? So you got that whole experience, right? Through that process. What is it? Like that's are you going to it?
No.
Okay. That's where we are. We're bottom of the 9th, guy on 3rd in game 1. That's where we are. Not game 7. Game 7's next May 1st. Now, it might be game 7 of the ALCS. I'm an American League guy, so you guys all like the National League, so it'd be the NLCS, right? But, right, it's not the World, next May won't be the World Series necessarily, but it's going to be game 7 because we're going to the convention in May. Bobby asked if we go, and I said, we're going to have between 50 and 75 people there. He looked at our numbers and went, then you better grow. I'm like, I know. But we want to introduce ourselves come January and have an opportunity to be participating in May. But guess what? We can't get to game 7 of the ALCS, of the championship series, unless we win the division series. Does this make sense? This is, we fought like heck to get here. It's funny. We've got the shirts and hello Moto. Hey, I have no, that's funny. It's a Moto 360. Hello Moto. So, but it's funny because we have the list of the shirts and they're going to be in, and we're going to go through them on Wednesday every day, but we didn't get them all done. But it's funny because the idea of this was your set list. It was, what are the 6 things you're going to do that you're in charge of? And all we got to do is do it. And lots of people signed up. And I went, we made the shirts. They're all good. From what I've heard, they look pretty good. They're comfortable. They're soft. We got soft ones. Spent extra money to get, right? Chicks, we got the V-necks because heard y'all don't like the collar. So we made sure we got the chick ones and dude ones and stuff like that. So like, because I want these to be nice, right? Spent money and did all this other stuff. And I am a cheap guy, right? So this was like, not like, hey, we went the high definition, not silk screen, so it won't crack and all. Like we went. I might not do that on all these because these. I got to go. I'm like, what? Okay, what? But that's all right. And it's funny is that these, the folks who signed up and we were kind of chit chatting about this and we're gonna get them out on Wednesday night. But we're not giving them out, right? So I was talking to Stace, and today it's Young Kippur. Robin's down with their family in San Diego, and she's thinking about you guys and wanted to make sure that she sent her love, but she's not here right now, so I get to have this conversation because I don't think I'd be able to have this as she was here because positive. But I said there are 3 choices. Okay. The t-shirts are they're costing $19.78. They're $20 for a t-shirt. Right? Because we didn't get 80 of them, we didn't get 200 of them, we got 24 of them, right? Costs. So I said, look, the reality of the situation is we want to make sure, and I need your guys' help, that we don't create an entitlement philosophy. And an entitlement philosophy is you owe. An entitlement philosophy is give. We're working really hard to create an earn philosophy, not a win. Not a win because someone has to lose. Here's an opportunity to earn. And, as talking and Stace asked me a question, she goes, how many people on this list do you think hit their segments? Like really early. And I'm like, I don't know. She goes, what are you going to do? I go, I don't know because I want everyone to wear their shirts next Saturday. Right? So she goes, well, you're going to give it. I'm like, well, I'm not giving crap to anybody because that's not the culture. What we'll do in the next couple of days is, because this is a personal thing. So I said, here's what I'm going to do. And she's like, is Robin going to be there? I go, no. She's like, okay, we might not want to have her here for this conversation. I'm totally joking. Not really. She'll be back tomorrow though, for those. So here's what we're going to do. We've got the shirts for everyone. There are 3 choices for everyone. Choice number 1, I did it, I earned it, I get it. That's pretty clean, right? It's like term insurance. You pay, you die, we pay. Honest and earn. Lie and earn. Because I don't know. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, you could have not done it, said you did it, and get it. Right? There's no lie detector. We don't want that dynamic. Third option, don't get the shirt. I guess there's 4. Fourth option, buy the shirt. One-on-one, no one around. And we're introducing these concepts. This is all new. If we didn't have the event next Saturday, I probably wouldn't offer the 3rd or the 4th one, but I want us to have a collaborative kind of experience. I need your help. This is new for me. Creating this space is new, right? The standards, I don't really think, I'm not asking us to hold us to anything magical. Like, if you said you were going to write the lineup once a week, you got to ask yourself, did I write the lineup once a week? And if you did, you better feel doggone good about that. Because you said I'm going to do A, and you did A. You said I'm going to do B, and did B. Now, if you said you were going to do C, D, and E, and you did A and B, you've got to ask yourself, the habit of A and B, and knowing you didn't do C, D, and E, part of your growth process? If it was, then you earned it. You don't owe me an explanation, and don't come to me for validation. This isn't a, well, this is what I did, what do you think? That's not the culture that we're creating. We want to create, now, ideally and ultimately, right, Cindy, when you got 6 people on your team, you're going to want to have developed interactions with them to help them through that. I should have done a better job. I did a decent job with some, but we're creating a million things right now. So I'm like, okay, how does this work, right? We want to have a collaborative conversation where people feel like they're participating in part of it. And we want people fighting to be a part of something. Does that make sense? Look, for the Halloween party, right? It's going to be fun. Last year was a lot of fun. Right? We went out. I got a new mask. I'm excited. The kids got costumes. Right? We're all fired up. The house is getting done. Does anyone know anyone with a truck? I need to borrow a truck for a bit because I need 4 bales of hay that we can get in and get to the house, the front yard. We can build the stuff. Right? Right? Yeah, we got creative. We got the dry ice, stuff that's coming. We got the fog machine, right? We got new music things, right? We're gonna go to town. So, and everybody's invited that earns it. And anybody that earns it can invite anyone they want. Joseph, you can have 30 people come. It's fun. We're paying for it. All the alcohol, as long as you're in charge. So whoever's on the list is in charge of their people. Right? We'll have lots of floor. People can sleep. Lots of places on the floor to sleep. It's a Saturday night. Hang out and have some fun. We got the 2 skull, right? Beer bongs washed out and ready to go. It's awesome. Right? We'll do brain jelly, right? All this stuff, right? Like we will go to town. And we can have 50, 100, I don't care. The only thing I care about is that the leadership team understands that it's an opportunity for you and I to say, I want to be a part of this. And if I'm going to be a part of this, I'm going to participate in the growth that I need to grow for my business and my life. For some reason, we have a magenta side here. But here's our October set list. And all this is, no. One more for Kat if you want it. Yep. And we'll email this to folks and do whatever, this stuff. But what this is, and it's silly. Look, a doggone t-shirt's silly. Here's the problem and the opportunity. I can sit in the room and figure out the lineup and introduce it and pick your brains a bit and tweak it and then get it together and say, here. We can come up with the access gap, we can come up with sports systems, we can come up with access. There's all sorts of stuff that I can do. I can't create this culture. I have limited influence. Look, how many of you guys noticed something when you walked up the stairs?
The boards.
Yeah, you notice the boards?
Yeah.
Notice something else about the boards? Is my name in there? Why? Because I'm not in the top 3 in any of the categories for the quarter. I think there's a good chance that my production in the top 3 over the last 90 days in our organization. Probably pretty good. Why is my information not in there? Why is Brett and Robin not in there?
Because my name is supposed to be in.
I can't drive that culture. What we don't want, of course, he can. This isn't about that. It's bottom of the ninth, guy on third, game 1. Opportunities to recognize where we're at. I told Bobby, I believe 2 years from right now, we will have 4 vice presidents making a minimum of $25,000 to $30,000 a month 2 years from right now. He goes, you're not that income right now. I go, you don't understand what we're building.
Does he have from your conversations?
Well, I'm gonna say this as best I can and as deliberately as I can. You're struggling to understand it, and we've worked together for 3 years on it. You've heard me through your filter for years. And I've heard me through my old filter for years. So how could he? They still gauge results. I told him yesterday, I said, the reason for this conversation, it was really good because we were going and then got like disconnected. He called me back. And I'm like, see, you're never going to talk to me again. He's like, no, I was listening. I go, Bobby, the reason we're having this conversation is I need you to know I'm not a crackpot. I need you to know, because I'm going to start asking you to put yourself in an uncomfortable position, because I'm going to ask you to champion me a bit. And I need you to know, just because our numbers aren't there, we're not crazy. He's like, I appreciate that. He goes, because without the numbers, I go, I know what happens in this company without the numbers. Trust me, we'll put the numbers there, but I want you to understand when we do, it wasn't because we tripped on a rabbit. We're going to trip on a rabbit, we're going to trip on 50 rabbits. But we grow on purpose. How do we grow on purpose, Yadira? Because I want you and your organization to say, these are the 6 things that we're going to do this month. We're going to get really, really good at competing every day for measurable results. We're going to understand that consistency is key, that we've got to fight to accomplish towards the next step of what's important to us. And we're going to draw our goals in alignment with what's important to us and anybody else. I don't care what anyone else thinks I should be doing to grow my business. So you might care what I think because I'm helping set the course, but after you understand the course, no one's in charge but you. And you shouldn't give me or anyone else more influence over you than you. Yeah, you might want to make people proud. You might want to have fun. You might want to compete. You might like to play the game. There's a million things that you might, but it's that you chose to use as leveraged tools. Because anything more than that, you're going to build in responsibility and obligation. It's bottom of the ninth. Down by 1, guy on third. 2 outs. Game 1. Maybe we strike out. Now here's the problem with Yasiel Puig last night. What was Yasiel? Did you watch it? Did you watch it? What did he try to do?
Hit a home run.
He tried to hit a home run.
Single ties the game.
Single ties the game. I got chills. Single ties the game. Yasiel Puig goes up and says, I want to be the hero. Single ties the game. Ah! Swung at a ball. Here. For a second strike. You have to want to be in that moment, but we also really want to understand what that moment calls for. If there was 1 out and Yasiel Puig's up, maybe because Adrian Gonzalez is behind him, swing for the fences and end this thing. If there's no outs, absolutely swing for the fences and let's see if you can end this thing. Because he's got the capacity to end it. But 2 outs? 2 outs, 2 strikes? You know, we teach kids 2 outs, 2 strikes. Choke up, shorten your swing. He could have stepped. It could have gone over the second baseman. The second base. It was unbelievable.
That's how the 2001 World Series was won. It was
Yes.
by a choked up swing that made over Mariano Rivera.
They made Rivera human.
Mm-hmm.
Every other game that won was because of Cousins, right? Or
Luis Gonzalez,
I thought it was Counsell.
great counsel.
Yeah.
It was
It was great Counsell.
Hit the game winner.
Tripped it over.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter, but yes,
They talked about it.
maybe you'd know more than we would.
I was at the game.
As I know, so you probably know. But recognizing the
Well, I
moment,
could be wrong
it's all right.
because I
Four!
was celebrating.
All right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Here's the thing: we remember the play. We don't always remember the player.
Right, that's true.
Mhm.
The recognition of the moment. Everyone's like, "Oh, I need to close sales." No, write the lineup out. The play calls for right now is whatever the play calls for right now. Distribution. I don't care about revenue and income right now. We're getting close. I surely haven't given a crap about it for the last 2 years. The president, he's not used to that conversation. I would have had this conversation with you, the idiot. Because I had the parent-child relationship. Now it's a strategic partnership. I'm breaking down the logo for the president, and I'm like, you probably know this stuff, but I need you to know I know this stuff. Brett, when are you going to get back to 400? You know how easy this is, man. I get by the convention, we're going to be. That's Yasiel Puig. I'm like, no. I'm running my set list. But I'm running my set list with freaking intensity. My business has grown 100% quarter over quarter over quarter for the last 4 years. It's going to continue to grow quarter over quarter. We've just chosen what measurement we're going to attack and destroy. Guess what measurement we're attacking now?
Growth.
Huh?
Growth.
Growth. We're attacking this. 2 years ago, didn't I get frustrated to get this down? And did we need to get it down? Yeah. But guess what? We now have it down. Look, I have the updated lineup. It's in the right order. If my computer would have been okay, I would have done the video. By this time next week, the video will be up. It's already live on Access Support right now. Right? The lineup's in order. And the right pieces, the animation's dead on. Just watch the video because the video will get you confused because the video goes one direction or the other. But this thing is done. If you think in it, your life gets easier when it comes to building a business. If you want to know how should I talk to this person, this will get it clean. I'm proud of all sorts of stuff we've done. There's literally nothing bigger than this thing. The dilemma is nothing's changed on this in 6 months. Literally. Outside of the order, and the order changed 6 months ago. I just didn't update it because of I told the story from here to 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 here, but the order was actually the same. It looked like this. When I did it, the animation started here and then went back. The single most important thing, something we're building in. There's huge implications for this thing, not just for Primerica. This is an organizational growth chart that at some point will be really, really valuable to lots of industries, in my opinion. And we're having a hard time getting us to learn. We can't go on until we devour this. And we're having a hard time devouring this. Why? Because it's hard. Bottom of the ninth, guy on third. What do we need right now? We need a 6-1 lead in the 7th inning, and the best pitcher since Sandy Koufax gave up 8 runs. It was 10-6, and then it was 8-10, and now it's 9-10. We have a shot to get back to 10-10. We're at home, and we gave up this lead, and we came back. We could win this series tonight. Emotion. Nope.
Yep. This is an aside, nothing to do with anything. But for anyone that doesn't like baseball, that's why baseball is so great. Is that the Antic Puig is a club, and there's 50 million different things writing on it, and that's why that moment is so awesome for baseball. But it never happened. It rarely happens. That's the problem.
And we get to use it as somebody, like we get to be in their position. We're there.
Maybe we need to get hit by a baseball.
Right? So that's what this conversation is, right? We're there. Like, what do we do? We're where we want to be. If you want it to be better, here's the last piece to this conversation. The only way this gets better is a handful of people embrace it. And we run with it. Does that make sense? Which means if you wait for it to get better, you will be starting from behind. Right now, nobody is behind. I'm barely a starter on the lineup. I'm barely a starter. Everybody else is a player. Nobody has a lead. We get to grow together if we choose to grow together. Or a couple people will choose to grow, whether they're in this room, and this isn't a butt room, but this is, hey, I've got to, we got to grow now. That's all I'm measuring. That's like our next measurement. So I'm looking for people to actively grow. We grow together, or we find a group of people to grow. You get the validation that you need to realize it's actually worth paying the price to grow, and you start growing. But you're then playing from behind for no reason, in my opinion, unless that's the reason that you choose. The dilemma of the last 4 years is there's been, I don't like the word threat, but very limited threat of being left behind because we weren't actually growing. So it's like, okay, I'll get it when I get it, which is great. But based on my conversation with Mr. Peterman, we can't afford that. Like, I know where we need to be in January. In January, we will be a 12 to 15 IVA base shot and a 17 to 22 cases a shot. That's where we need to be in the month of January, minimum.
What's really cool is that, so we did our sets for, what was last month? September, is that how that works? September. And so regardless of how we did them, if we completed them or not, as long as you did anything on those sets, when you're doing your sets for October, you actually have something to build on now. And so no one is starting over. And I don't know, I just thought that was important to say, because it's not a situation where we're all sitting here and we're like, okay, now we have to go learn to do something completely new. We already know everything. We don't, like they say, you don't know what you don't know, right? We don't know what we know.
Yep.
We actually have the opposite problem now. Our problem now is not we don't know what we don't know. We just don't know what we know.
Because we've done it. The reason we've got to confront this is we are all creatures of habit. How many of you have someone in your life that you don't see all that often, but when ago, figuratively, maybe literally, but you know them a long time ago, and you had a dynamic a long time ago, and every time you get around them, you actually start becoming the person you were and they become, and you like have this weird interaction, and then you walk away going, who the hell was that guy?
Yeah.
But you just zone into it. Right? With our spouses, we know, like, most of us could put our disagreements on autopilot. I'm going to say this, they're going to say that. Because they said this, I'm going to say this. Because I said this, they're going to say this. And the next thing you know, there's this whole little dance going on, and most of us are over in it. But if we really wanted to, we could come back and be like, it's a video game going, XR, right? Uppercut, right? It's just that process. We get into that flow. Am I the only one that's ever? You're like, I'm not even mad. Why are we fighting? I don't even know. But we just get down that track. Right? A book called Love and Respect talked about this vicious cycle, which is a phenomenal concept. Because I will, because you will. Well, we have those habits ourselves. The dilemma with the last 3 and 4 years is part of it's been, okay, guys, now we're at this phase. Now we got to learn this phase. And so we create an unintended consequence to the path of the last couple of years has been show up and learn. Intellectual exercise that converts to application. Does that make sense? Well, for the last 90 days or so, the conversation is the intellectual exercise is kind of over. But the habits might not have been. The reason the set list, Wade, you're 1,000% right. The reason the set list is built, done this way, is because you're going to get stronger at it in December. And we're going to get stronger at it in January. And a year from now, we're going to be experts at it. Well, the consequences to setting the goals and actually hitting them, those habits, will translate to whatever it is that you want. That's what I said. If you set 6 things and you did A and B, but you thought a lot about C, D, and E, but you didn't do them, if you ask yourself, man, I am closer to my goals because of this, then you earned the doggone thing. It's supposed to be hard to challenge you in your brains. Is this making any sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the fun thing is, we don't actually have to spend very much. How fun is it that we don't have to spend any time on this right now? And we actually get to spend time on our thinking a bit. And then when we walk out of here, hopefully when we transition to the next conversation, like, we're going to start doing this stuff. I really hope that you guys can make it next week. It's funny, because I was really uncomfortable. It's like Kevin and Tammy asked them, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not sure why you want, yeah. Because I did a conference call for like a year ago, and went off on Access. And then they didn't talk to me for like 4 months, so I think maybe they forgot. But
That right there shows why people can stay married. Right?
But it was interesting because when I did the conference call, I was testing the language and I was getting validation from the creation of the language. And I wasn't going to, like, but I haven't spoken in front of anyone. Like I said, I won't speak in front of anyone until someone says if they do these things, they can be successful. Well, I'm really excited because I've worked really hard on what the topic's going to be and what we're talking about. And I really want you guys proud of, well, I want you proud of me, but I want you proud of what you're a part of next week. I think the people who are going to get is our team. Like if you have someone, like Victor, you said it, you want them there, they're going to get more out of it because it's going to be nothing different, but delivered in a room of people. If I do this, if we pull this off, it'll be, everyone in the room will be like, we're totally doing that. Which is what we want. Because then we can go into rooms. If we're like, oh, we're doing something completely different than anybody else, then we can't go in any rooms, and so we have to create all the culture by ourselves. Does that make sense? And I want us proud of what we're a part of. So, do you guys want the Halloween party, by the way? I just kind of assumed that you guys liked it last year.
It was pretty fun last year.
So, bless you. So, all right. So now you've heard my conversation on these set lists and on this concept. So the next 10 or 15, 2 minutes or 12 minutes, depending upon how many people want to participate with the conversation, tell me your feedback. Bless you. Your value, your perception, your understanding, your questions, your hesitations, your resistances, your strengths about this as a tool.
I guess for me, and I just spoke to Sue about it last night, was I was having the battle within myself is, okay, even though, am I setting it high enough for me to move forward, or am I just putting down something that I know I need to give up? As far as, am I going over a speed bump, or am I looking to, I guess that was the biggest fight for me within myself, that instead of, like you said, writing something down and saying, okay, I need to at least accomplish this, I was either selling myself short, saying, okay, well, I was having the battle within myself saying, you're a lot better than that, rather than taking it as, okay, let's start with this, and then we'll move to the next thing. So that was my main battle, everything situated.
How many of you think that lots of people are going to struggle with what Joseph struggled with? How many think that that's a valuable struggle?
Yeah.
Why? In our language, right? You're all transitioning to starters. Part of the role of a starter is to be able to reference inside our language so that there's a built premise. So one conversation carries 10 conversations with it. Why is that conversation so valuable and that confronting so valuable in our language? Think about our tools. Think about what we're trying to get accomplished, how all this works.
Well, I think, did you want to? I think part of it goes back to our goal setting then for ourselves and then also for the access gap, because if one is, okay, what do I want to accomplish for myself, like Richard's Alaska trip? Am I going to be able to accomplish that by setting goals that are easily hit and I don't push myself? Well, the answer to that question is probably no, because if I could just do what I'm doing now or a little bit more to achieve everything that I wanted or immediately want, then I'd have it. But the reason why I don't have it right now is because there's something in my skills that I'm not doing enough. Then his battle of that, not setting them high enough, starts to confront where am I at? And the second part of it is on the access gap. Do I really believe that I want to try to solve this gap? Are these goals that I'm setting big enough to help me impact that gap in any way. And I'm not saying that the whole country or anything like that, but it allows not just him, but anyone that does it to confront to themselves, what am I doing here?
Okay. Anyone else?
Like for me, I feel like kind of the value in him kind of recognizing, and not just him, but like everybody recognizing a way that you were thinking and then kind of shifting that, and it just changes everything, you know. And I feel like it's kind of like for me, you have all these things that you know that you need to do, right? And they can seem like overwhelming, and because you make them yourself, you know, you make them yourself overwhelming. So once you write them down, once you identify and you see them and you set them yourself, it's easier for me to say, okay, I can do this, and I don't have to worry about the big
what I think what Joseph said first was he wasn't sure if the goal was high enough, and something I struggle with that too, Joseph, all the time. So, but what ended up happening, especially doing this, because I would write it down this very beginning, and I went back about 3 or 4 days later and I reevaluated, because advances are permanent and it's step by step by step. And that goal is still needs to be broken down. If you go in for a goal that you're not ready to go for, it's not the step by step by step. So each little step is a win. So identify each one.
So here, 2 minutes here, because I want you to hear this. So all of this, phenomenal, guys. You guys all look. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. It's just you. I love the habit of turning to the language and to be able to go through. For me, when I heard it, one of the most challenging skills is the neutral assessment of your I am. What I heard Joseph talk about was a struggle of creating a neutral assessment of where he was. I should be here, I should be here. Is this big enough? Is this not big enough? Is this, is this, is this? The problem is, once this gets cumbersome. Once this isn't cloudy, I'm telling you guys, if you can get clean on this, you want to get really good, and then I know you got to go. You want to get really good at this? Get really good at going, I am. I see. You want to know what your set list is? Your set list is your I sees. What can you see yourself doing? I can write the line out what's with. I can see myself doing that. Why? I don't know it. I still have to pause and think about it. I still get confused on. If you don't get, should I write out the lineup once a week because I'm getting confused on it? No, I write out the lineup once a week because it's the most valuable. But once I'm like, if you're like, I have a hard time really understanding the transition from the farm system to the bullpen. Like, I don't actually understand it. Shoot, that's where you are. No, it's neither good nor bad. It simply is. Now, once you have your want, that sets the direction for your adventure. But you're like, this is what I want. This is where I am. What do I need? I best get this lineup down. If I want to become a starter and be able to do and model, best I get this. I want to become a starter. I better get the lineup down. Okay, what do I need to do too? Guess what? You do that for a month. Next month, when you assess your I am, if you spent the next month mastering the lineup, a month from now, isn't your I am different? Isn't that I am then going, if you look in the direction of this, going to tell you different I see? Not I wants. I wants are scary and overwhelming. Should you have your wants? Of course, it can happen here. But these are motivating pieces. These are directional steps. Does that make sense?
There's
So you can hear. I'm sorry, I just wanted you to hear that. I know you gotta go.
there's another part of Joseph. Well, no, I was going to say there's another part of Joseph. What Joseph did is that him recognizing for himself, am I challenging myself enough, right? So I did something similar. I don't know what Joseph did exactly, but I did something similar in terms of, okay, I said, well, what can I make sure that I hit, right? So I set them up, and for whatever reason, I didn't do one of, like, I had like one thing that I had to do that would have taken 10 minutes that I had like 4 days to do because I did everything fast. So I didn't hit my IM, my C for the month. So I have to pay $20 for the t-shirt, right? Or whatever it is. But because I didn't hit it, now I have to look at it and say, okay, am I really at where I think I'm at? Does that make sense? So now that's why this is such a benefit, because if I do what Joseph says that he did, right, which is I'm going to make sure that I set something that's, let me put it in my term. I was like, let me just set something that I know I can hit this so I can get good at hitting something. So I'm going to set what I can hit, and I don't hit them. What does that say about my ability to assess either my ability to do any of those things, or how bought in I am, or any of those? You know what I'm saying? So then you're faced with the concept of, am I going to lie to myself and say, am I as bought into these things as I say that I am, right? Or am I just going to use an excuse? Well, I had kind of a stressful last few weeks, even though it would have taken me 10 minutes to do it. So that doing a set list is critical, because it starts to define reality for us from where we are in relation to these things. And so now for October, I'm mad for September that I have to go pay $20 for the t-shirt. It has nothing to do with the fact that affording $20. I have to pay for this shirt when I could have got it for free. But then I could have earned it. Could have earned it, right? Thank you. But then now going into October, I want to go to this Halloween party, where last year, honestly, I was like, we're going to Halloween party, whatever. It does, doing the simple act of writing and doing it each month, it's inevitable. If you're real with yourself, you will grow.
And I appreciate your honesty and communication with that, because I get bored. So one of the dilemmas for me personally is, if I set things I know I can do and it's not challenging, I won't do them either. Just,
right.
I'm like, how long does it take to make your bed?
Right.
Like, really, how long does it take to make your bed? It's so much better to get into a made bed.
Yeah.
Right? I like getting into a made bed, and it takes 30 seconds. I mean, and you don't even have to make it good to get into a made bed. You have to pull the sheets up and cover the space and do that.
Right.
Right? We're not talking. I'm 41 years old, and I always like getting into a good made bed. This morning, I was walking out of the room. Robin's not here. I was walking out of the room. The bed's not made. I'm like, that's no big deal. Why would I do that? It's stupid.
You have kids, can't you order them to do that for you?
And the worst part, because we're being honest, is I said, guys, make sure you make your bed. True story.
God, I hope you closed your bedroom door.
No, because they know the rules aren't fair, right?
I've made my bed for 40 years. I can choose not to make my bed.
It rains on the rich and the poor. I'm good with it, right? We don't. So it's really fascinating. So part of this and where this goes as we implement, because wait, your part's way more important than my part, in what you said. But I actually want to know that if I do it, it's going to work.
Right.
It's going to, right? Now, I've been doing this for 35 years. This is not a new concept for me. Everyone says, well, especially with kids, right? I don't care what people think. Bull. I've never met a human being who's a sociopath, and I met a couple of them that don't care what people think. Please, for those of us that have children, please hear me on this. I strongly believe we should not teach our children, don't care what people think. because they're going to. I think the work that we have to do is help them and us understand who we should give influence to. I care what certain people think. I care what you guys think about how I'm delivering this, more than I care about anybody else. I don't care if you like me. I want you to like me. I don't care if if Ty cusses me out under his breath. I genuinely don't care. If he cusses me out verbally and I'm around, I care. Oh. I'm fine with it because it means I got to win on something, and that's my job. Now, do I want him to carry that feeling forever? No. Moments. I talk a lot about, right? A couple of us have had tattoos. Tattoos are the strangest experiences, but they're life-changing. But they're the strangest experience. I've never experienced anything that can be excruciatingly painful and then not. Because there's no residue. There's no residual pain to a tattoo. Zzz, ow! Off, no pain. Zzz, ow! No pain. No throb after, right? If I poke you with a stick, it throbs.
Right.
You get a tattoo. It doesn't even throb. It's just gone. It's the strangest thing, right, Cindy? Right? It's bizarre. And I told this to some people, they're like, I never really paid attention to that. I'm gonna have to get another one to figure it out. I'm like, remember me when you do. So yeah, we want people. This conversation, Joseph, that you had, the way that we all had. You're all transitioning from players to starters. Don't be embarrassed or frustrated with your struggle. Embrace it and learn lots and lots about it. Because you're going to want to create a space where you can talk to your people about it all the time. Because one of the most powerful skills that we will be known for is the ability to have the neutral assessment of I am.
Isn't there also a corollary to that too that's helpful, is that there's an I'm not, like I'm, or we're not, like as a team, we're not where we were 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not where we were 6 months ago, and so that I think our I am can use it. It was really great when I think you said when our I am gets cloudy, our IC gets burdensome, right? So if we don't know where we're not too, that's also a problem because I'm always the last person to know I'm fat. Does that make sense? Yep. And so, did you say that once? Did I steal that from you? Yep. You did? Well, it's great because I used it. Now it's mine. So no, but I said
Wade's the only one. Wade's the last one to know I'm fat. So
that's right. No, but you were right about that. Like when I used to get like a lot of weight on me, I would look in the mirror, and then it's only when someone takes a picture of you, and you're like, oh my God, is this me in this picture, right? And then. But the same thing is with our business. Like we still think we're fat in our business, and I don't know. I'm sorry, maybe that's a bad analogy or whatever. But it's important for us also to know where we're not.
Yep. The reason it's as though yes, it's really nice to have conversations like this and have them be in alignment with the pieces that we're at. The power of this. Okay, so. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we're creating the habit, Joseph, for you to start doing the things that you need to do, right? To start, and what are the things that we ultimately we're going to have to get wide. What do we do with get wide? Is we're going to develop our skill set from our farm system to our bullpen to our draft board, right? So that's ultimately what we're doing. With the phase of where we are is we've got to learn to line up so that we understand what we're doing. Learn the access gap. These are two skills. Why? Because then we're going to turn to our farm system, our hot and our warm, and we're going to move them to the bullpen. And we're going to get really good at that skill. Wait, that's all we're talking about these days, right? Because that's a skill. Then, once you have a list of people in your bullpen, what are you going to do? You're going to make a bullpen call. And you're going to go see them, aren't you? And when you go see them, you're going to have a conversation. Basis of today is for you to get to know me to get to know you, find out there's reason to go to the next step. If yes, they're going to go to the draft board. If no, they're going to go to the scout team. So this is a skill. Does this make sense? Okay. When you're here, you're having a conversation, are you not? What is a question that we feel, the people that were in our farm system, that we transitioned to the bullpen, that we're sitting with them, what are a couple questions they might ask us?
How are you doing?
How are you doing? Don, how do you feel about how you are doing? Right this second.
Mixed.
Mixed. Cindy, how do you feel about how you've been doing when it comes to your business? Joseph, how do you feel about how you've grown in your primary business?
Mixed.
I spent the bulk of my business feeling crap.
Mix is a big improvement.
Big improvement. Have you noticed I didn't ask you?
But that can be taken two ways.
I really felt like Sue's fired up. It's to be said. You didn't ask me either. What's that?
Brett's like, I don't know what way it is. I don't know where he is. I don't know
What you learn in law school? Never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
I violate that rule every day, and it's there's never truer words have ever been said.
I have a question. Do we have an attraction business?
Yeah.
That's all this is. Cindy, it's all we have is an attraction business. Why would anyone do the business with you?
Because they see that I can help people and they want to help people too. It attracts them to something they like to do.
Okay. So, Joseph, why would anyone do the business with you?
Right now they wouldn't.
Well, why would they?
They would only follow me if they believed in what I was doing and they felt the same way.
Okay. So why would someone follow? Like, what is it about the business that why would anyone follow us? Not just you, but why?
Yeah, because there's you're communicating in some way that you're excited and stuff, and they see that excitement, and they it's something they want to participate in because it's possibilities that.
They want what you have.
They want what you have. You have something they want. You have an opportunity to make an extra $500 a month. They want to make an extra $500 a month. You have a great relationship. You have a great environment. You show up. You have fun. You get. There's something you have that they don't have that they want, and they believe if they do it with you, they can get it. It's really that simple. You like helping people. They like helping people. Cindy likes helping people. I'm not helping enough people. He's helping people and having fun, and I want to have fun helping people. Wade wants out of it, whatever. Why are you here? Why have you stuck through this whole period of time? You have to believe something we're working on is going to give you something better than what you have. Or you're a sadist.
No,
Masochist.
you like pain. That's why none of us in the audience, almost none of us have tattoos. We don't like pain. Or we like pain.
Yeah.
Whoever has a tattoo is a masochist. Whoever doesn't has a sadist.
So, is it okay? So, the only way people are going to do the business with us, someone goes on the draft board. What does it mean they're on the draft board? There are 4 things.
I can trust
They like and trust us.
Heard of Primerica.
They've heard the gap.
Primary could be a positive in their life.
So Primerica could be a positive in their life. Number 3 is there's something that this opportunity can give me that I don't currently have that I want. Does this make sense?
Is the 4th one in there a hurdle?
They're a hurdle.
Okay.
So, and the reason the 4th one's important, if they don't have a hurdle, they're on their own.
Right.
So, if that's the case, then they have to believe that you have something that they want. That you are a mechanism to something that they want. Does that make sense? So I have a question. If they ask you, how are things going? And your answer is mixed.
They can get that and more at their job.
Crappy. Always feeling like shit. Never good enough.
Got to deal with this guy, Brett. He's always on my ass.
Always on my ass. Work. Gotta go to a meeting. Oh, here's another one. If that's your answer, do you think most people in your bullpen are going to go, I want to be a part of that? Now, Cindy said, I'm really excited. Dawn said, I'm kind of mixed. Dawn has a senior regional leader contract, has 2 or 3 little hurdles to go through to be back as an RVP, has the same size businesses and more experience. Really excited, mixed. I'm not being critical on either one. This makes sense? What does that mean? I, 3 years ago, would feel like crap if you asked me. Like shit. 384 didn't come, 85 people come to the meeting, $100,000, $90,000 of base shop premium, 60 recruits. Oh God, when are we gonna get this thing going? God, can I just get some people who will do this? That's myself. Is that an attractive business? Not when the question's asked, oh man, things are so good. Really? Here was the answer, Cindy. When someone asked me how things are going, man, things have been really, really good. Got some really cool stuff going. How about you? What's been going on with you? I sidestep, move around, and turn the attention into my brain. I was like, well, of course I'm doing that because I want to make sure that my attention's on you. I'd like to acknowledge that technology is amazing. Joseph was looking for something he needed to send me. He did a search on it. It took a little bit of time to do it. He did it. Then he emailed it to me, and my washers told me I got it. Right. So then all of a sudden, neither one of us moved, and we got to do something that
But does it tell?
So what happens is, do we see this dilemma? Okay. Now, so just because I want us to understand that we didn't just make this stuff up with no reason. Your assessment of your I am is neutral, Don. When you're feeling okay, when you're mixed, you cannot be at a neutral assessment. The problem, Cindy, is you can't be at a neutral assessment when you're excited. What's the dilemma of having an overly positively charged assessment at I am?
You have the same problem that I had when I set my goals for hitting something I think I could hit, when in fact, I don't have the skills to hit that yet. So if you were like, my skills are awesome and my business is awesome and everything is fantastic, then it just is a distorted view of reality. And then what you want becomes extremely burdensome and cloudy.
And stressful.
And stressful because we always secretly know in the danger rib down here in this like 2% part right here that that we're not where we think we are, even though the rest of our body is like, oh yeah.
So does this make sense? Now I'm going to bring back because you look confused and I know why you're confused, but just go with me on this. Because I want you excited. We can't be excited forget my opinion. We can't be excited here. This has to be a neutral assessment. So he's like, I don't want it to be a neutral assessment. I like being excited. You just said business. How can I answer the question, how are things going, and be excited if this is supposed to be neutral? Because of what Wade said. The scouting report is your why. Because your I am is right there. Your I want is right there. Your I was, or I'm no longer, is right here. Wade didn't finish his set list, but I'm not going to let him pay me $20 for the shirt. He can donate it. We'll donate it to charity if you want, but you're not going to pay me for it because you got the value of the set list. You set one, didn't know it was set. You actually hit it. And what you hit was the appreciation of the set list. That's a pretty valuable set list. Does that make sense? But what happens is, now all of a sudden, Cindy, let's go into perspective. You are. Why are you excited? Because you were, you now are, and because you went from I was to I am, you know you can go from I am to I want.
So what are we getting excited with? Like, I don't understand, because like, say for instance, Kristen and I just moved into a new place, right? And like, it's okay for me to be really fired up that we moved into a new place.
Absolutely.
But are you saying that I should be fired up, not because of the place itself, but because of what we had to do to get there, and that we know that?
So I have a question for you. If you and I go to dinner, and I ask you how are things going, and you're like, oh my God, this is so great. Man, we just moved to this place and it's got this, and you spent 40 minutes telling me about your place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for you. Where do I fit in that conversation?
Well, you can't come live with me.
So in sharing conversations tonight, we're talking about a profession, the question of how are things going? How are things going is an assessment conversation. To be, and they're never as bad as we want them to be. So what is our answer? Because they're all just perspective. Does this make sense? So you can spend, man, I'm really excited, this house is fun up. That's fantastic. If you were trying to get into, if you were creating a space for me to participate in how you're feeling beyond just being happy for you, how you got there and what it means now, because when you've told me about it, just so that we're clear, when you've told me about it, this is exactly how you told me about it.
Yeah, it's I'm just excited because of the skills it took to get there.
This is where we were. This is what we've got. And I know that you're not done, right? You're not going to die there.
No. Well, I know that it's not because of an accident. I know that the reason why that we're there is because something that we did on purpose.
So what's more exciting to you? The house and where you're at, which is great, or all that it means to be there?
Well, yeah, the house doesn't, you can strike the house by lightning, it doesn't matter if we be able to get another house, because now we know how to do it.
This is what the exciting is. The experience is, look, I've had really, really bad things happen in my life, and I can turn shit around. Like, I am a positive silver lining guy. Like I just am. Like it's very rare that I am like, this guy is bald. Like,
Yeah, if Sears starts to say, we're screwed, guys, we're really screwed.
I can't remember the last time. And I've had like some serious experiences, no more than any of y'all. We could all make each other cry. But I'm a positive dude. But I'm not. I'm just as frustrated. I'm just as angst-ridden. I'm just as focused. I'm just as critical. I'm just as frustrating. I'm just as. But the moment I run through my scouting report, Don, if you think about where you are professionally, where you were 6 months ago, have you made significant growth?
Yes.
If you told somebody about that growth, and then you said, if I gathered up this experience, do you have to go backwards? No, advances are permanent. This stuff's locked in. You never have to go back. Look, I lost everything. That sucks. But I didn't lose anything. I learned, don't put all of your money into one stock. Even if it's a really good stock. It's a valuable lesson. There's no one on the planet that would have thought Citigroup was going to go from 52 to 3 in 14 days.
That must have been an interesting couple of weeks for you.
There was a group of us. We had jackets. They want to buy the jackets. So there's a whole bunch of it. Like Bobby Gleason lost $2.5 million. Like just so like $20 million. People lost shit. But John Addison's entire compensation, he got paid $300,000 a year and a $1.5 million bonus for 4 years, and all of it was in city stock, and he didn't transition it out. Not the only idiot. We learned diversification.
And guess what? You know what's great? You paid that price, so I don't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes my business stronger.
Yeah.
Look, Sue Twiddell got paid $1,600 in managed accounts. I make, as an RVP, you make 10%. She gets paid $1,700, $1,600. I get paid. She got paid $1,600. I got paid $160 in overhead. That's nothing. If that was regular mutual fund money, she'd have been paid $4,500, and I'd have been paid probably $1,000. Why would I create an environment where my RVP is going to make money and my income is going to get cut to crap on it? Why would I ever do that? Why would I have you do that? Why does that make any sense when we're in a distribution business?
Because we're in a distribution business.
Who's my most valuable asset? What's my most valuable asset? An RVP that's fired up. All of Sue's business expenses are covered at the first of the month, and she doesn't have to stress about it at all.
Well, and also too is you don't get to manage the account. You don't get to manage the account money for a client until you go backwards and forwards. Everybody wins.
All of that is absolutely, but from a pure, like, just so that we go through this, what the most valuable asset is a consistent Sue.
That's why teaching people the neutrality of the IM is so important. Because if we're too high, then we burn out. We work hard for 3 days, and then we have to recover. If we're too low, we don't. It's a disincentive to get motivated. Mm-hmm. So we have to become experts at being chess players at IM, and cheerleaders at the actions.
Mm-hmm. That's what's going to give people the possibility and the hope, and that's what's attractive. Mm-hmm. Is all what just happened. It just said, "Oh, you just did that. I can do it too."
It's not magic. How'd you do it? I ran my set list for 6 months. Why is my business see, here's the problem, Cindy. Don, you're excited today. Here's why this is critical. So these have all been in pieces, right? We're like, this isn't, just so that we're clear, like, this is design, right? We thought a lot about this. Here's the one dilemma with this picture. So Don, how are things going? Oh my God, I'm excited. We got this, man. It was funny 6 months ago. I was. Now if I got lit up, I know I will be. That's a great story, right? But now I ask this question. How'd you do it? How'd you go from I was to I am over the last 6 months? Most of us can't explain it.
Not all of it. You can do percentages. You can maybe say, well, I know this and this. There's no, you can't do 100% of it.
But it's a
Well,
distraction.
Well, here's the thing. There are 3 steps to what we're doing. Step 1, do. Step 2, be able to explain what you did. That's a skill. It's a skill to be able to do it. It's a skill to be able to articulate what you did. And this is most people end here because they don't care about explaining to anybody else what they did. Teachers, coaches, people with that teaching, coaching experience, leaders in organizations get good at the did. That's this conversation. And you can develop that skill. But step 3 is will do.
So the vision casting.
That's this. This conversation is the will do of how you do this. I'm getting there. And here's the beauty of this, because you've all watched this. When I introduce a new concept, it's traditionally clumsy in language. Right? Like we get the concept. It takes 20 minutes. And then we fine-tune it, and then we can say it in one sentence. And brand new people can walk in and get it in one sentence because we dial it in. Baseball swings. Okay? You get up, all of you with a bat could swing a ball, swing a bat. Some of us would be able to go, we make contact, and someone go, well, how'd you do that? And you're like, well, okay, what I did was I planted my feet, and then I transferred my weight, and I kept my eyes in the ball, right? I'm reliving what I did. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Others can explain what needs to be done before it's happened. So Don, here's what you got to do. Okay, now you got to plant your feet. You got to be right. It's here's what we need to do next. The ability to explain what's going to happen before it happens. Most people never get that, but you're really, really good at it. It's not a big deal, except many, many, many people can't actually, they don't take the time to master something to a level to where they can explain what's going to happen or what needs to happen before it happens. Doing the theory of decreasing responsibility is a will do. When I say, okay, you're going to sit there and you're going to ask them, based on the savings you have right now, something God forbid happens, between your income, like how long will things be okay? Like, I'm teaching somebody what they need to do. Does that make sense? That's a skill. My old business got most people here, a few people here, and almost nobody here. Because this was magic. Don, how did you make the growth that you made in the last 6 months? You have no idea. You did it because you just said you did it. You could spend some time over the next week and break it down, so you could probably figure out, I'm taking the did to a how do I do it?
Well, because the problem there then is that people think, if I'm not like you, and you did it, like let's say you read $10,000 in premium. And I go, Brett, how did you do $10,000 in premium? And you say, well, this is what I did. A lot of the I did will get lost Will do would be like it doesn't have anything to do with what you did. You did validated that you know how to do it. Like, let me show you the actual skills that are their skills are separate from me. Like you said, I'm good. I didn't know I had no clue what you were talking about with the will do, and that was something that I was good. Like, apparently I'm good at that. I mean, still kind of don't know what that means, but that's a skill that anyone can learn. It's not attached to me. Being tall is attached to me. If I'm like, Brett, I dunked a basketball, I just jumped up and dunked it. Why can't you? You know what I'm saying? That's what I did. That doesn't help unless I said, you know what I'm saying? So is that the difference? Because this
Just what you said. You just said he did it. He wasn't sure what that is. You just did it again.
I don't, but I'll have to process.
So here's the interesting thing. Wait, you don't actually know what you're doing while you're doing the it.
Because you're good at it.
Maybe it's just the way that my brain works or whatever.
No, it's a skill. You've just done it for so long, you don't know it's a skill. Most talents are skills that have been trained. Those are all sounds that just came out of my mouth. I'm glad we don't have YouTube.
I know what that's from.
Good. Bloopers. Okay. So I'm hopefully this is all going to come together right now. What's the value of the set list? In relation. What's that?
You can actually take it out and show us. How did you do it? Here.
And even if they're not you, and so your list isn't their list, that's not the relevant point necessarily. What's the relevant point? You have a set list. Why? Because your set list, right? Wade's I am and Don's I am are vastly different. Path to his I am and Don's path to his I am are vastly different. But you know what I know both of them did? Had a goal, whether they consciously and purposefully did it or not. Attacked the goal, whether they consciously or purposefully did or not. Accomplished something, locked it in, and moved on. Maybe because that's who they are, or just because they've been exposed to me. Look, I don't know if people are like that don't come to meetings all the time and that aren't actively working on growing and changing. I know lots of people who stay very similar. And they don't quantumly change over a 6-month period of time. They're the same people they were 6 months ago, with not very many more marketable skills. But if you're here, you're exposed to growth where we will drag your ass kicking and screaming up this damn mountain if we have to.
That's why it's if you ask somebody how did you get there and you say, okay, what books did you read? And they say, well, I read these books, and they give them to you, and they give you 4 books, right? Then you're like, these books have nothing to do with any. This doesn't help me. It's not what they did. It's that they read books. So you and I had this conversation. Whatever, how many books I read over the last 4 or 5 years. There's 3 or 4 of them out of the 200 or whatever it is that I read that dramatically changed my life. Those books may not change Cindy's life or Don's life or Joseph's life or Sue's life, but the skill of reading books and modeling other people's behavior and looking for answers, that's the will do. That's what you have to do, because I don't know what your bugaboos are. I do know if you read 200 books and the right kind of books, you'll find the solutions to your bugaboos. That's the skill I need to teach you. I need to teach you the value of the book, of reading the book, not these specific books. Maybe if you're like me, this one will help you, and some are really, really good that I'm confident will help you. But the ones that are life-changing, I have no clue for you.
So the habit of this is the building blocks of this. So that always, because we're going to be sitting with people. What are we doing? We're building our bullpen, and then we're going to sit with people. That means we need to sit with people and influence them. Strip it all down That's what we have to do. Sit with people and influence. There's a really good chance, Joseph, they're going to ask, how are things going? We should probably be okay with answering that question. Just a thought. And I've been here a long time, and most people are not okay with that answer, with those answers. And the ones that are, you all think are obnoxious. Because if you ask me how things are going and my income's at $500,000 and I'm like, oh my God, I made $42,000 last month. 2 months ago, I made like $60,000. Man, we got people thinking, going and buying a new house, buying a car. Man, this thing is unbelievable. Man, it's the greatest opportunity in the world. Am I attracting you to what I'm doing? Do I feel good though? Yeah, I feel great. So I'm like, woohoo, screw you. You must not want to win.
Right.
How could you know I make $500,000 and you not chase after me?
Forgetting what they had to do to make that $500,000. Forgetting the person they had to become. And then they get confused and they think it's just because of them, not the skills they learned.
And then Cindy goes, well, you never saw your kid. And Cindy has to protect Cindy, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And so what does Cindy have to do to protect Cindy? She has to tear down me and my opportunity and who I am and all I had to sacrifice.
And then the only people that you do attract with that type of mentality are not the people we necessarily want in our business.
In our culture and business. This is the linchpin.
Yes.
And it's not difficult. It's a habit.
I actually went back and forth on this towards the end of last week because I hadn't done it until finally Stacy goes, so I guess she kind of burned my butt a little bit, but I found the resistances based on the past that when I filled this out, I go, well, wait a minute, I can do this. It was very simple, but if we allow different things that we haven't unloaded, then they're going to seem like a mountain.
Which is an advance. You guys understand? Even if Don comes to me at the end of the month, it's like, you know what, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. Is that growth? Yeah. Why? Because what is compete every day for measurable results? Fight with consistency to accomplish the next step. This is opening the door for him to be able to do it.
And he doesn't attack or withdraw from the business. He doesn't say it's the business's fault, or he doesn't say that it's
Disappear.
or it's that I suck. Like I'm a terrible person. It's like no, it's my skills. It's my skills. It's my skills. How do I improve my skills? Because this isn't none of this set list is how do I become Mother Teresa or a better person for me. It's all just how do I improve my skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do I need to prioritize?
Right.
Where am I? Cindy, where am I? I have these skills. I have these deficiencies. Are any of us surprised that we have deficiencies? Then why would you ever get depressed that you have deficiencies? I'm just not good at it. That energy will keep you there forever.
I'm sorry, I know I'm talking about what just happened today. Because I can tell from personal experiences that I used to confuse, and I talked about this last week, and I've talked about it all the time. I used to confuse my skill level with me. Whatever I accepted it, I modeled it, I've taught it. I don't know what it is, but if I sucked at something, it means I was bad. So that's for me, that confusion. I'm still trying to solve that confusion. So that's what that is. Some people, I'm one of them, that if I'm not good at something, I must suck. I don't care what it is. You can say, speak French or speak Greek to me. And I'm like, oh, I can't speak Greek. Internally, subconsciously, I must suck. The first step for the person that's in that is to say, the first step is foundationally, no, that's a whole different scenario.
You might still suck, but that has nothing to do
Correct.
with your ability.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're. Yeah, exactly. It's like however you want to define you as a good or a crappy person, that has nothing to do with your skill set. There are tons of really, quote, however you want to define a crappy person that are billionaires because they got really, 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 really good at something that the marketplace rewards. That's all we're trying to do is get good at skills so that we can be rewarded in the marketplace. Now, we're trying to build a culture where we want to be good people and we want to give back to the community and we want to help people. But those two things are two separate issues. And what we're working on here is just improving our skills. And you're exactly right. If we have a Diane, which is we connect I'm bad at setting the lineup, so I stink or I'm stupid or whatever, then you're going to stay there forever because you're constantly working with cement shoes.
And then sooner or later, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You get validation from it. You don't recognize any of the growth. And when you don't recognize any of the growth, you're not encouraged, you're not powered, you're not ready. And then what happens is then you communicate with somebody. And if you happen to communicate with somebody like me from that point of view, I'll blow your ass up because I'm like, really? My job isn't to convince you that you come from to where you are, right? So this becomes a personal responsibility. My old business, Don, this was my validation, my strength, my obligation that was created was painting this picture for people. And so they became very dependent on me painting that picture, which then it became my obligation to paint that picture. Then it became my burden. Then at some point I went, yeah, no.
Well, you weren't fixing skills, you were fixing people.
Yes. Yes.
I think myself on a personal level, and I discovered this last week going to the compete, for September, was in my old business, I was always convincing people. Always like a rah-rah, always, which really isn't me, okay? So when I finally diluted that brought me down to a base of those 6 things that I knew right then I could go hit it on. So what? Not beating myself up, but I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm not in that old business, but it was such a part of me.
This is, guys, as a starter, really as a captain, this is what the bulk of your skill set is. You do it for you as a player. You do it and start to model it as a captain. And then you'll lead your people through this process. Because it allows anytime someone asks me, how are things going now? I got 3 things to talk about. I can talk about this, I can talk about this, talk about that, talk about whatever. I run a scouting report with my kids. I'm a behavior, like this helps me like you can't believe. This I didn't do my whole life. This I've done for about a year. I did this, but I never had a neutral assessment. I was always my critic. And when you're your critic, this can't be positive. So the goal would be the month of October. We really spend the next week or 2 really locking and dialing this stuff in. What do we need to do? Today was really, we have to really dig into, our farm systems or bullpen, so we're going to work really hard on that, the second half of October, right? But what do we want to do? We want to get some people to Oznight. Oznights freaking fun, guys, man. Now, we want to start getting people excited, and it starts with us going, this is kind of fun. Like, the story is so clean. And start locking in and valuing and playing and like the sport of this thing, right? We'll on Saturday we'll sign this in. We'll have this on Wednesday night. We'll have this down with the sign-ins and stuff like that. So think about it. Hopefully the answer is yes. You will have created your set list. Most of you will not have hit your set list by then, and that's okay. But how many do you plan on inviting? And then, because what we'll do is on Thursday morning, you'll get an e-bike. Anyone who signs up that says they're going to attend, we're going to do an e-bike for the Halloween contest that you then can take anybody that you want. So that we can have a total. Have them reply, say yes, they're gonna come. So that we can have a total, so make sure we have enough food and libations. But we'll have some fun with this thing. Okay? We want to take this thing to the next level. I want you guys to participate. I want us to play. It is bottom of the ninth. Guy on third. We're down by 1. We've rallied back, but it's game 1. We're where we want to be. The month of October, all of us are at different places. Let's do the things that we need to do to move our business forward. Sound good?
Yeah, good.
All right, guys. Love you. Thanks. The only thing I miss about Superstars Dominate is ending a meeting.